Speaking of the past here and
Oh boy.
honoring the past, it's funny. I was going to say controversy, but it kind of seems silly to use the word controversy around this. But last weekend, Colorado spring game, they retired the numbers for Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Now, a few of the notable Colorado alums from the past uh, weren't really down with the way that all kind of happened. Our former colleague Chad Brown, David Bakhtiari, who was played for the Packers for a long time, Philip Lindsay, even Joel Klatt. They all kind of came out, and to make sure this is like reported accurately, I don't. None of them had any problem with Travis Hunter getting his number retired. I mean, the dude's a Heisman winner. They knew that was going to happen at some point, like that he needs to be honored. There was a little more about Shedeur, but even so much, I don't even think it was about whether, I don't think they were criticizing the worthiness of Shedeur, of that him being honored at some point during his thing. I think the majority of the conversation was around the timing of this. I mean, these guys are two guys that, you know, just finished their college careers. There's a very short list of Colorado retired jersey numbers before this. You saw, it was Rashaan Salam, the former Heisman winner, Bobby Anderson, Joe Romig, and Byron Whizzer White, who went on to become a Supreme Court justice. Like, that's it. That's none of those guys played on that 1990 national championship team that has, whether it's Darian Hagan or Eric Bieniemy or Alfred Williams, and the list goes on and on of guys from that team who, have great resumes. So I'm curious where you kind of, when that whole story was coming around, where was your mind gravitating with that story?
Okay, I'm going to answer that. Can you do me a favor and just look up when Rashaan Salam's jersey was retired?
I believe it was 20 years after he was done playing, and
Yeah.
he had
I
already.
think I called the game.
I believe you
When,
did, yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's what struck to my mind. I remember spending
And he
time
had
with.
already passed, I believe, at the time of the retirement.
So to that point, I got a couple thoughts on this. And again, I think it's important to be really thoughtful and zoom out. What Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, has done at Colorado is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. You cannot argue. If they don't win another game, it is one of the greatest success stories in college sports. Why? Okay, well, they won a Heisman. Start there. He's like man of the year and getting attention to him and the university that they never had before. You are watching the numbers of applicants in admissions dramatically grow. The diversity on campus dramatically grow. At games, attendance dramatically grow. And on and on and on. Every time he has a press conference, it seemingly goes viral. Colorado is not a blue blood in major college football like an Alabama is, like a USC is, like a Georgia is, like a Florida is, like Ohio State or Penn. They're not, but they are treated as such in the environment in which we reside in today. And it is because of what Coach Prime has done to that school and Rick George having the courage to go hire him. That is true. I think two things can be true. This is kind of the theme of today's conversation. There are greats that walk before all of us in every craft. And I believe, and I'm with a lot of these alums, that there needs to be, because as we get older, we get more and more proud of the things that we did. Maybe we embellish even the things that we did, and they become bigger and bigger in our own minds. But for the national champions at Colorado, that's real. Like that's as big as it gets. So I felt the opinions of some of the people you referenced was super spot on. Yeah, I'd be pissed too. I'd be frustrated too. In addition, I think that there are a lot of players, when I look at the players that we've covered in 20 years being around Colorado, that are worthy of a conversation if you're going to look at the productivity that at least Shedeur had. Right? Cephalufau led him to a Pac-12 championship. Nowhere near the player of Shedeur Sanders. We've covered Colorado, as I referenced, for a really long time. So I think like both things can be true. The frustration can be true. Now, the one thing I do want to speak on is Coach Prime referenced in his presser, like, hey, this is a now generation. And he's so right. Right? You want it now, you can get it now. You want it now, you can download it now. You want it now, you can find it now. You can Amazon it to your house now. I also don't think that's a great thing. We have kids. It's the marshmallow example, right? Look it up on the internet. Eat this marshmallow now and you'll have one. I'm going to go leave for a few minutes. If I come back and you didn't touch this marshmallow, I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to give you 3. I look at a guy who's near and dear to me and my college roommate, Larry Fitzgerald, whose career didn't win a Heisman, but was number 2. Like, I think it's fair to say he's one of the greats of all time. I started to put myself in his shoes. Like, if Pitt retired his jersey immediately, would he have as appreciated as much? Yes. And I believe that Shedeur and Travis appreciate it, grateful for it. But do you have the perspective and the lens on it you do when you can bring your kids to it, you can bring your partner to it, you can bring your family to it 10 years, 15, 20 years down the line? You just can't. You got the draft this week. You just can't. Like, I actually think that by doing it so quickly, so abruptly, I don't think the players got to enjoy it in the fashion in which they would in 15 years. And they're interviewed by a sideline reporter and they're reminiscing about their time. You have a whole week to celebrate and honor them, lead up to the game. Like, that to me is where there was a miss. We could debate it. Should Travis? Yes. Should Shedeur Sanders, with a little bit better than a 500 record, who helped turn around the program, should he be in the Hall of Fame at Colorado? We could debate that all day long. I don't want to have that debate though, Jim. Like, I don't really care about the debate. Like, the point is that, like, should they have done it today? And I just think the players are going to miss on it. You know, it's not like Colorado does what USC does. USC retires the Heisman jersey. They put it in the peristyle and you saw Caleb Williams when they kicked off spring ball or the season after he was there. You know, that they've done that forever. I'm not aware of any tradition in Colorado of why you retire somebody's jersey. Of course, Travis Hunter was going to be retired. Of course, nobody was going to rock his number. But the Shedeur one for me, like, I got no problem with retiring his jersey, but doing it then, the guy's trying to go to the Giants or wherever he's going to net out in the draft come tonight. Like, I just think that it was a little too hasty. Don't have a problem with it. I'm not making the call, but if I played there and I'm David Bakhtiari, I'm some of these guys that don't have my jersey retired, I'm like, yo, dude, hey, Rick, come on, man. Look what I did for this place. Nate Soldier, look what he did in the NFL. Like, there's a lot of guys that we could talk about that could be pissed or frustrated or jealous or whatever. Fair. But overall, I just think the timing of it, like, I think you actually took away an opportunity for these guys later on down the line where I think they'll appreciate their time in Boulder way more than they can even imagine appreciating it, just based on their age and based on where they are in life.
And it's funny too, because I know, like, he's not been shy about saying that he doesn't care about what other people's opinions are on this. You know what I mean? And in some ways I respect that. It's just like, this is what I'm doing. Like, you know, but with, you know, not having, to your point of, like, there's not going to be that moment now 10 years from now where they come back and do that. And, like, you're always continually, you want to continue to, like, have these guys from the past want to come through. So if you're a guy like Deion Figures, who wore the number 2 before Shedeur did, you know, he was the Big 8 Defensive Player of the Year. He was a consensus All-American. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. Just last year, he got put in there. He's a Thorpe Award winner. He was on that national championship team and had the game-sealing, you know, interception. How does now Deion Figures feel about what this program feels about him?
That's a great point, because that jersey needs to be retired. Needs to be retired for him. I think in college football, why is it so unique? Is because of the pageantry.
Yeah.
And what do we all struggle with? I'm generalizing, but I'm going to assume a lot of people watching or listening would agree, is we struggle with the professionalization of the game that is so collegial. And we struggle with change, conference change, road trip change, ideology change. Like, Deion is a unicorn. He's a unicorn. He's a cultural icon. He is going to do it his way. I don't think that he's ever trying to be disrespectful to the game. Yeah, I was up there. We wrote about it. You can check it out at YOption.com. I spent some time there with the Nike Coach of the Year clinic at the Coaches Summit in Boulder about a month and a half ago. He has great regard for the craft of football. But I don't know if there's like this is how they've always done it, so this is how we're going to do it vibe to
Right.
him at all.
No.
And there
You're
never
100%.
has been.
Yeah.
Now, was it a miss to not have Deion Figures retired? Yeah. Like, I think if you go back in time and if you're trying to project out, and I'm never going to try to predict or put words into Coach Prime's mouth, but if you knew 2 years from when you got the job, you're going to retire these two players' jerseys, you probably would have tried to retire maybe a couple other guys in advance of it, just to celebrate the past. Like, I feel like that's what it's on the wall in their facility. I could see it now, but it's all about like honoring the past, like the brothers of the Buffs. Like, it's part of their fight song. It's part of their mantra. And I feel the frustration from their players, because this is what we love about college football. In the NFL, you don't have that. Very rarely. You got a couple rings of honor, maybe. You have to be so premium to get into that. College is different. And you're right. Colorado has been average at best in the last 25 years outside of
a couple seasons.
This last season?
There's been
and
like
the max season?
three or four seasons in the last 25 years where you're like, okay, that was good. That was a good one.
Yeah. So I get that. So it's just a hard one to navigate. I congratulate those two guys, but I'm bummed for them, honestly, because I wish they could just come on back and do it at a different time in their life. So much is happening for them. I mean, imagine like your wedding day that week. If all of a sudden you were put in the Hall of Fame, it'd be super cool, but you'd be like, hey, like I got something else going on. Yeah. And these guys, Travis, I think he's going to Green Bay. Shedeur, I'm not sure.
I can't remember. I should know this, but I can't off the top of my head remember who was going to the draft this year.
Yeah, the jersey retirement. There it is. Colorado's still in the news, though. I'm looking forward to watching them in their spring game. I'll tell you the last thing I thought about. I was like, well, if their current quarterbacks play well, because they're in a quarterback competition right now, like, did they get their jerseys retired? Like, if they go 10-2, like, that's to me, like, also you're setting yourself up for some dialogue. Again, Coach Prime's not going to care about that at all. He did sign a big extension, so we could only presume he's going to be there for a while. But we also know Rick George. He was on the staff of that national championship team. Like, it's not like he's not thoughtful around it. So I'm sure there was a lot of dialogue, because you can't do this and not anticipate the criticism that came with it. Like, if you've ever been in sports, you knew that was coming the minute you made the announcement. So I'm sure they thought through that and then chose to go the road that they went.